events. That'll be fun to talk about.
Oh my gosh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I filled that thing out so long ago. I don't. Sure, great. It's fresh. It's all fresh.
We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah. All right, let's go for it. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another special bonus episode of the Cinematography for Actors podcast. We are live from the VIP lounge at the TCL Chinese Theatre here in Hollywood, California, as the official podcast partner of the 19th annual Oscar qualifying. We almost got there.
HollyShorts Film Festival.
Thanks.
That's probably your millionth time doing
70.
that. So.
We're doing 70 interviews. So, and every time I mess up qualifying because I do too
it's tough.
Quickly.
Yeah, hard to get it, hard to say.
Exactly. Yeah. I am your co-host, Indiana Underhill, co-founder of CFA and a cinematographer. And then we have Haley Royal, who is co-founder and an actor. Sitting with me here from Complicated Order is Emmie Lichtenberg, director, and Bo Youngblood, producer. Both very cool names. And just awesome presence when you walked into the room. So stoked to have you on our couch. Welcome.
Man to the room.
Well, that's a really good feedback to hear. We love it. We love that.
So before we dive in, because we have such short interviews, what is Complicated Order about?
Well, I'll take that one because I wrote it as well.
Okay, great.
So I directed and wrote it. But Complicated Order is about really the life cycle of a breakup. It's about our lead character, Remy. She's just been dumped, and in her sort of post-dumping breakup depression haze, she accidentally orders her food app delivery meal to her ex-girlfriend's house instead of her own, and sets out on a journey to retrieve it. And sort of in that journey, physical journey, also goes through a real emotional roller coaster as well. And it's sort of like a self-empowerment, self-discovery journey as well.
Okay. Well, this sounds like really relatable and can connect to a pretty great audience.
Scary relatable.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've all been there. Now, how did you two find each other for this project?
Go for it.
I had produced a short by Alexis, written, directed by Alexis Giselle 2 years ago, called The Beginning and the Middle, and she's friends with Emmy, and said, hey, I think you guys should meet and talk, and we had coffee, and I had read the short right before we had coffee, and we just had a wonderful conversation, and just like you said, it's super relatable, and we've all been there, and I was in if she was going to have me.
God, I was so happy to have Bo. I mean, I think it's very rare to, obviously I was looking for a producer, and the people who I had been meeting with and talking to and everything were just felt like, they're like, well, you're going to need, I had no money. I literally started this process with zero money, and a lot of these producers were like, well, you're going to need $40,000 sounds about right. And I was like, well, that sounds about wrong for me, because I literally I don't feel comfortable raising 40. I don't have 40 grand. I don't feel comfortable raising 40 grand, all of that stuff. And Bo came in with a number that I felt comfortable raising and was way less than that, and just was like, yeah, that's the number that we can do this for successfully, and was so confident in that. And we did it.
Yeah, that's a
really great
story. I think, because for a lot of people going into short film territory, I think they're surprised often at the number and how high it can be for a lot of people on their bare minimum of no, you're gonna need that. And so it's so wonderful to have someone come in and be like, say yes, we're gonna do this. So for you, Bo, what were the biggest priorities for the script when you were like, okay, I know we're going to probably have to make some sacrifices here, but when you're reading the script, what were you like, we have to keep this in no matter what?
There was really nothing that I read that I thought we would have to cut. There were things that I was worried about logistically. Finding a location was the most important, because everything happens there. And then once we understood what the location was, then we could understand things like stunts and casting. I mean, cast was really important. We brought on Christy Lugo, who's an amazing casting director, and literally everyone that was on Emmy's wish list said yes.
Oh, great.
Oh
my God, that's great.
Yeah, it was a very easy process where it was like, okay, great, moving on.
Falling into place.
Shocking, yeah.
But for the creative, there wasn't really anything that I thought we had to cut. It just was for like the logistics and the budget of it, it was really just dependent on location and how that would fit the creative.
Got it.
And once we found that, then everything sort of was like, oh, this works.
Yeah, for sure.
And Emmie, for you, so you got the wish list, which is awesome. What was the most important thing about casting when you are writing the script as well? Is it, I've seen these people in this way this entire time, so I want to cast first on aesthetic, or is it like, I want someone to bring something to this character that I haven't maybe even thought of? Like, what are your categories of placing people for a wish list?
That's a really good question, because this is my, I've come from more of an unscripted background, a documentary background, which is a very different sort of, that's such a different beast casting wise. And for this, I think, so like for this, I don't know, that's a really good question. I think that there were certain people that definitely, as I was writing, I was like, oh, someone like my lead, Midori Francis, I just was like, oh, I think that she could really nail this. Or someone like Heather Matarazzo, that was such a, like, the character that she plays is so harebrained and so, like, kooky. And I think that, and Heather's been one of my favorite actors for such a long time. And I was just like, I had no connection to her personally or anything like that, but I was like, since I got hyper fixated on her, and not even when I was writing it, like literally the character I wrote as a like parody of Trisha Paytas, if anyone knows that crazy like star influencer, whatever you want there, and so I was just like, who can do that in it? Like, who would I want to see? Like, who's my dream person to like take on that? Who I think could bring something so unique to someone like that. So I don't know if I really answered your question. I made a lot of mistakes during that entire spiel. But
no, it's great.
I want to add something, because I think it's what's really like fascinating is when you find material that's so good and so unique and so fresh. It doesn't take a personal connection to get the people to read it and say yes and like jump in, and I think that was really like, was like your script, and then the deck was so your vision that you just look at it and you're like, I want to do this for a weekend, and it was really finding the people that would jump in and be like, hell yeah, we're gonna get down and dirty for 2 days and it's gonna be crazy, but it was like fast family. So I think it's really the writing.
Thank you. Thanks,
and with
Bo.
all of these, with this wish list that you got, did you have any moments where you sat with all of them and just talked through what you were trying to make people feel with this story?
With each actor?
Yeah, all together, just making sure everyone's on the same page, speaking the same language to tell the same story.
Well, Haley, we didn't exactly have time. Honey, I wish we did. But I was able to Zoom with all of the actors beforehand, not together, because again, like all of their schedules were so crazy, and like we met. I mean, this was like, with short filmmaking, it's like you got to pick a date, and you just got, with any filmmaking, you got to pick a date and you got to stick to it, and it's just like people might fall up, whatever it is, you just have to do it. And so we were just like running towards that date, and honestly, like I honestly felt confident enough in the conversations that I had had with each of them, and then honestly, like I felt confident in the script. Like I did. I felt confident in the script,
great.
And I think that they all felt clear on it, and if they weren't, honestly, it really wasn't like I wasn't, mashing my head in with any of the actors, going back. I wasn't like David O. Russell-ing them or whatever. Screaming at them. Much love to David O. Russell, but like I wasn't like screaming at them until they got it right. We didn't have time. We did not have time. So
no time for screaming on this set.
So
you talked a little bit about the unscripted background that you have.
Yeah.
Did that inform your visual choices?
I think that a little bit. Like there was some stuff that it's like I like things that in general feel like more lived in a lot of ways, and so I definitely like a lot of movement. We mentioned stunts. There was a lot. Like this is like quite a physical short in a lot of ways, and yeah, it's quite a physical short, and so I think that having something feel lived in and really authentic, I think is really just that's really important to me. And I think that probably does carry over from my unscripted background.
2 days to shoot, lots of stunts, very physical.
Wow.
How did you approach it? What was like the first conversation? What was the process?
First conversation was safety. How do we do this the safest way possible? For camera and for actors and for everyone's my mental sanity, because we didn't have a stunt double, and location of finding the space where to do the stunt because it was on a live street, and just breaking it down and making sure that the conversations with Midori were really clear and it was well within a range of what she was comfortable with, and we picked it off pretty quickly. It was just sort of making sure we got all the pieces that we knew how to edit it together. But I mean, she was like, yeah, dude, let's do this. And I was like, okay,
great.
Yeah, she was
Please don't break your wrist.
totally. It was like, because she had to be at work again on Monday on a big show. And so it was very much like, but she was so game.
Yeah.
She was like, you're gonna have to like draw me back from going too far, you know what I mean, with like my body, because I'll just do whatever. And I was like, cool, because also, you know, it was so perfect because the lead character, it was ideal for her to know how to skateboard, and Midori thankfully knows how to skateboard, so that was really great. Yeah.
Wow,
Cool.
that's awesome.
Emmie, Bo, do each of you have a favorite shot?
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I have so many favorite shots. I really do. I think I'll start. I think I really love some of the final shots, sort of before we roll to credits. We shot that on some rig that Jack and Dan figured out.
Oh, the car
rig.
When she's skateboarding back.
Yeah, when she's skateboarding back.
It's one of the more beautiful shots that I've seen in all of the things that I've produced. It was a low car rig, and the light was just really yummy and buttery, and the wind was blowing in her hair, and like, it's one of those things where you're watching, you're like, yes.
And you're like, oh, this brings it back to the relatability of it as well.
It was great. Yeah, that's definitely. That's a fan favorite. Fan, but meaning like
us
favorite.
But it's really, it was like the palm trees were perfect and the sun was cutting. It was just like gorgeous. That was
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we are very excited that tonight at 7:30. Very soon. Very soon. Complicated Order. Yes, will be premiering in LA, or have you had other
we
premieres?
We actually had our premiere at Outfest last
Cool, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, another screening of Complicated
You get a chance
Order.
to see this screening tonight.
Yes.
If you can't make it, catch it on bitpixtv.com.
You can catch it there for sure. Emmie Lichtenberg, director of Complicated Order, Bo Youngblood, producer, Complicated Order. Thank you so much for joining us for this intimate discussion. We can't wait to watch it, and I know we're gonna feel the relatability of it. I'm sure.
Yes, we're going to be remembering the times we also ordered food to
live in LA. Been through the breakups. Yeah. Exactly.
Of course it is.
It's the true pandemic.
Yep.
Really.
Yeah. Can't wait.
That's
awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Great job. This has been another episode of the Cinematography for Actors podcast. Follow us on wherever you listen to your podcast to keep up to date on new episode releases. We will be live through August 20th here at HollyShorts Film Fest. If you're here, drop in and say a little hello at the VIP lounge. We also want to thank our sponsors, Apogee, Film Tools, Roscoe, Lightstone Rentals, Canon, and First Mile Tech. As a special gift to you listeners, we've partnered with We Make Movies to get you a discount on comprehensive production insurance packages. Use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote by visiting wemakemovies.org/insurance.
If you missed any of our live streams, you can watch all of our interviews on our YouTube channel, Cinematography for Actors. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at Cinematography for Actors. You can also catch us in a more formal setting on Monday, August 14th at Japan House for a panel discussion on the importance of bridging the gap between talent and crew. You can get 20% off of your ticket purchase by using the code HSFF2023CFA at checkout.
Thanks.